Right, so MS Dhoni captained India for the 15th time versus England, which is now a record for any Indian captain. Who did he go past? Well, that man joins us live from London, Sunil Gavaskar, who captained India against England in 14 test matches. Sunny bhai, thanks so much for talking to us. Here's wishing you a very happy Independence Day, but unfortunately hasn't been a great day on the cricket pitch.
Yeah, and wish all the viewers a happy Independence Day as well. But yes, it hasn't been a happy day for India on the field. And as you said rightly while you were showing the highlights, it really was more of poor batting than any extraordinary bowling. Yes, there were a couple of good deliveries bowled, as you would expect on a pitch where there was a bit of grass and there was a fair bit of hardness underneath the surface. But yes, I think a lot of poor batting.
Right. Saima, a lot has been said about the poor technique of Indian batsmen, but then you also have the example of MS Dhoni, who himself says he doesn't have great technique, but he's been doing really well. Do you think it's that, they don't have the stomach for a fight that is needed in Test cricket? Is that what is lacking in the rest of the Indian batsmen?
No, I wouldn't make that kind of a sweeping statement because, they won a test over here, so I wouldn't say that. But yes, I've always believed that temperament is the one that separates the men from the boys. And over here you could clearly see that it was Dhoni's temperament. He doesn't have copybook technique. And if you don't have copybook technique, you shouldn't be able to survive is what the general acceptance is. But no, if you have temperament, you can make the most of maybe the fact that you might not have great technique. But you should know which balls to play, which balls to leave, and that's exactly what he did. And therefore, at the start of the innings, you saw that he was shouldering arms to quite a few deliveries. And then later on, he started to play shots as he started to get the measure of the pitch. And I think that is what the Indians should have done. Their judgment around the off stump has been very, very ordinary. It's apart from Ajinkya Rahane and Murli Vijay, and to a certain extent, Binny in the first test. There's been really very poor judgment around the off stump, and that's the reason why the batsmen have been getting out quite for poor scores.
Right. So, Sunny, if I was to understand you correctly, is it fair to say that it's more of a mental thing than a technical thing with the other batsmen?
Oh yes. I think it's quite clearly. You've got to be able to leave deliveries, which means you've got to temper your innings in that manner. If you try and play at deliveries when the ball is moving around, when the ball is doing something, you're going to get into trouble. So the important thing is to be able to know which deliveries to play around the off stump, which deliveries to leave, and that really hasn't quite happened.
Another cause for concern as you're talking about the Indian batting lineup, the majority of the wickets went today to Messrs. Vokes and Jordan, not the usual suspect in Broad and Anderson that we see. That could be a cause of concern because these are not exactly the bowlers that can strike fear in the hearts of any opposition.
And look at the way those dismissals have taken place, and you will find that there really haven't been wicket-taking deliveries. What has happened is that they've gone for shots when they shouldn't have gone for shots, when they were not ready to play the big shots, when the ball was still doing a little bit. So patience was the need of the hour. Patience was in fact the need of the day, because it's a 5-day test match, and any team that bats for 3.5 to 4 sessions is in a position where it stays in the game. If you're dismissed within 3 sessions, you've got very, very little chance of staying in the game unless you dismiss the opposition in less than 3 sessions again.
Right, I'll just go back to the technique, and in particular we'll talk about Ajinkya Rahane. Sunny, we've seen it now 3 times he's been out cotton bowled. Do you see any flaw there? Is there a reason why that is happening again in the series?
Yeah, I think the fact that he's been out 3 times in the last 3 test matches cotton bowled does suggest that maybe he's pushing at the ball a little too much, and I think it's probably more of a technical thing rather than a mental thing, because he's shown excellent temperament when he played in the Lord's Test and got 100. So I think really it is more of a technical thing where he thinks that he's there for the drive, and when the ball is not quite there for the drive, and therefore he's playing a little too soon and popping a catch back to the bowler.
And finally, Sunny bhai, just to give the Indian team the benefit of the doubt as well, it was a great toss to win, many would say, because conditions were good for bowling and now they're great for batting. So it seems like from here.
Yes, I think that's how the coin falls. That's the luck of the game. But the important thing when you tour overseas is to be able to conquer conditions, and you've got to be mentally prepared for the hard times when you're playing in overseas conditions. If in England you're expecting the ball to seam around and move, in Australia, South Africa, you'll expect to bounce a little bit more, and therefore you've got to be mentally prepared for that. But if you're not going to be mentally prepared to fight it out, if you're going to try and slam your way out of trouble, you're going to get into more trouble, and that is what has happened. Have a look at some of the dismissals again, and you will find that apart from a couple of deliveries, one to Vijay, one to Ashwin, the batsmen were playing with hard hands, pushing hard at the ball. So it actually seems that they have learned nothing between the last two test matches.
Right. Finally, before I let you go, Sunny bhai, MS Dhoni today, do you think he would have a talk with his batsmen? Especially, he's shown a lot of stomach, at least the way he's fought on the field. We spoke about he not having the greatest of technique when it comes to test cricket, yet he's been scoring runs consistently when the other batsmen around him have failed. As a captain, do you think he would have had a word with the other batsmen? And now he's in a position where he can actually have a word with them.
Well, I don't know. I can't really guess what happens in the dressing room. That is, in fact, we are at the other end of the ground. Generally now you will have seen that most of the media boxes, media enclosures are at the opposite end of where the players' dressing rooms are. So, the media is kept pretty far away by just about every ground. So I wouldn't have a clue whether he's had a word with the team. But surely I think sometimes, you follow your leader's example. The question is, and we will see it in the second innings, are the players following their captain's example? The captain has been magnificent. He was magnificent at Old Trafford. He played a lone hand at Old Trafford. He's again played a lone hand here. And but for that 82, I think India would have been dismissed for less than 100.